The Premier League is finally back after that very strange double weekend game week. Not sure what happened there, but we've finally passed that and we should be getting onto some pretty regular Premier League programming. Finally, it's been a while. Happy it's back, but the magic of the FA Cup is always lovely to experience. I mean, last weekend was quite the weekend for football, we'll say that. But yeah, we're going to jump into my GW22 Premier League predictions. And we're going to start off with Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. Nottingham Forest host Arsenal at the City Ground as they look to make a return to winning ways. So yes, Forest are coming off the back of their fifth 3-2 loss of the season. This time it was to Brentford in the league, but we did grind out a draw against Bristol City in the Cup. Probably one of the most boring games of football I've ever seen. Arsenal made a return to winning ways after they absolutely demolished Crystal Palace as they look to get their title challenge back on track and currently found themselves in third, level on points with second place City and fourth place Villa. So it's a very tight title race at the moment. You know, you love to see it, to be honest. Forest were taken all the way by Bristol City in the fourth round of the FA Cup as the tie ended goalless in the southwest. Forest didn't really look at the races during this tie, with performances not being expected of a Premier League side. But to be fair, Bristol City did take West Ham to replay as well, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but we just didn't look interested at all. Similar to what happened against Blackpool, to be honest. Not sure what we're cooking, but hopefully it's a trophy. With that being said though, I'm going to say it's a 1-1 draw. I can see the points being shared in East Midlands, to be honest. Forest are a strange team at the moment. Like I said, we struggled against Blackpool, and after seeing off Newcastle and Man United, that was very much a shock. We absolutely demolished Newcastle United and we beat Manchester United after a very long time. So go from those performances to Blackpool was a bit of a shock, and then we just continued that against Bristol City as well. I'm not sure if it's a mentality issue, but hopefully we can get that sorted sooner rather than later. But it just would be the most Forest thing to happen if we struggle against those lower league opposition and then beat Arsenal. That's just the Forest way, apparently. AFCON has really hit us hard as we are missing quite a few of our best players, which is why I can't see us grabbing all 3 points. Arsenal, on the other hand, aren't missing any important players, so it'll be very hard to break down. But their defence is not as strong as it has been, and they've conceded 4 in their last 5, which is the same rate as Forest, to be honest. I am confident that Forest will turn up and that the points will be shared in East Midlands, but like I said, Arsenal aren't really affected by AFCON, and most of their players that were out injured look to be back now, unfortunately, so they're going to be a very tough side to beat, harder to beat than when we did them last season, but I think we can share the points in East Midlands. And then we move on to Luton Town versus Brighton Hove Albion. Luton Town host Brighton at Kenilworth Road as both sides have seen themselves advance into the next round of the FA Cup. Not only are the Hatters through to the next round, they also come off the back of a draw in the league where they shared the points with Burnley at Turf Moor. Brighton are also coming off the back of a draw in the league as the points were shared with Wolves in what was a very boring match. I mean, I thought we'd see a bit of goal action between the two, but I was mistaken. Luton are battling to escape the clutches of the relegation zone and currently find themselves just a point from safety and do look very well placed to climb out of the relegation zone. Brighton have been enjoying better fortunes as they find themselves in 7th, just 3 points off 6th place West Ham, and are doing well in Europe as well. I'm going to say 2-1 to Luton though. I can see Luton keeping the 3 points in Bedfordshire. Once again, I see Kenilworth Road being a big factor in this match. Brighton looked quite flat against Wolves, but came back firing as they dominated Sheffield United in the Cup. You could tell that they were missing Mitoma and what he brings to the game when he plays. The Kenny has been a very important factor in Luton's Premier League campaign, and I see that helping them over the line once again. We've seen the home side produce some brilliant performances, and I think that despite the attacking football that Brighton play, I can see Luton being the ones to secure all 3 points and keep them in Bedfordshire. Just something about the Kenilworth Road that really works in Luton's favour. Like it's not exactly a fortress, but they've performed really well there, and I think they can get a result against Brighton, I'm not going to lie. And then we move on to Fulham versus Everton. Fulham host Everton at Craven Cottage as both sides look to make a return to winning ways. Both teams have not been enjoying a good run of things at the moment, but Fulham are currently the worst off of the two, as they've only won 1 league game in 5 and are also out of both cup competitions. Everton have done slightly better, with a win and a draw from their last 5 league matches, also getting knocked out of the FA Cup. The last time these two sides met was in the EFL Cup, and it was Fulham who came out on top, and I can see it being a similar outcome here, I'm not going to lie. I'm saying 1-0 to Fulham. I do think that Fulham will keep all 3 points in the capital. Neither team have been scoring a lot of goals recently, so I do expect it will be a low scoring affair between the two, and since their last meeting, Everton's performances haven't really been what they should have been. They've really dropped off and have failed to win a league game since, but Fulham haven't looked much better, to be honest. The Toffees find themselves just a point above the relegation zone and could be in trouble if they don't start picking up points soon, especially with the gap being a single point between them and Luton. Fulham aren't at risk of relegation, but if results don't pick up, they could be pulled into a relegation scrap, which it's not great. It's not where you want to be, but I don't think they'll be pulled in. To be honest, they're getting the results they need to stay above that, and I think they'll be fine this season. It'll be a very important 3 points for either side, but I can see the points staying in the capital. I don't think Everton will beat Fulham this time around either. I think, the run of form they're on ain't great, and I see it continuing, to be honest. I hope it continues for my sake. And then move on to Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United. Crystal Palace host Sheffield United at Selhurst Park, with both teams looking to get back to winning ways. I mean, Sheffield United have never been on winning ways this season, but you get what I mean. Palace have not been having a great time recently, getting knocked out of the Cup and also coming off the back of a demolition at the hands of Arsenal. Palace seem to have reverted back to the side that struggles to score goals. The same happened last season under Vieira. They brought Hodgson in, things changed, so is a managerial change incoming? Possibly. I don't know if they have the finances for it, but it might be on the cards. Sheffield United haven't had things much better though, also being knocked out of the Cup, but are coming off the back of a quite impressive draw in the league, as well as seeming to know how to score goals better than their opponents. But I'm going to say 2-1 to Crystal Palace. Sheffield United have conceded the most goals this season, 51 in 21 matches. So I think this is the next best opportunity for Palace to score a goal, let's be real. They've conceded the most goals of any team this season. So if you want to fix your goal scoring woes, this is probably the best place to start, let's be real. Sheffield United at home. I can see both sides scoring, as neither side have a stellar defensive record this season, but neither are known for being clinical in front of net either. Palace do have more attacking quality at their disposal than the Blades, but we're missing out on one of their main attacking outlets in Elise. Hodgson's job should come under scrutiny, as Palace have not been performing recently, but a win here may give him some extra time, but I can't see him lasting to the end of the season, to be honest. If he does last to the end of the season, he's gone before next season, let's be real. And then we move on to Aston Villa versus Newcastle United. Title challengers Aston Villa host Newcastle United at Villa Park, as they look to keep up their title challenge, currently 5 points off the title. Newcastle haven't been enjoying a good run of form themselves, only winning 1 of their last 5 in the league, but have enjoyed much more success in the FA Cup, as they progressed to round 5. Aston Villa have been very impressive at home this season, going unbeaten in all competitions since September 2023, and will be wanting payback for that demolition jobby at the start of the season. Newcastle United haven't been enjoying league success, being saddled with injuries and losing 4 matches on the bounce, so it's really not been a great time for the Geordies, but hey, they're through to the next round of the Cup, so at least there's that. I'm going to say 2-0 to Villa. I am backing Villa to keep all 3 points in Birmingham, as they continue their miraculous title challenge. Newcastle are still suffering with a lot of injuries, but are looking like they'll have most of their first choice players ready to go, which is a very big bonus considering where they had been previously in the season. Despite that though, I can't see Newcastle being able to break down this Villa side. Their defence has been very solid this season, and combining it with their home record, it's going to be very, very tough for Newcastle to get anything from this match. I see Villa continue their title challenge and putting another good showing to show that, hey, they're in the mixer for winning the league, and that would be insane if they managed to pull that off. And then we move on to the Wednesday fixtures and Manchester City versus Burnley. Man City host Burnley at the Etihad as they look to continue their good run of form and return to the top of the league. They won't be able to do that just against Burnley, but 3 points here will definitely help their cause. Burnley haven't been enjoying a great return to the Premier League, but have just surpassed the Derby's lowest point total in the Prem, so there is reason to celebrate. Manchester City have put their dip in form behind them as they look to reignite their title challenge as they come off the back of 3 straight league wins, 5 in all competitions, and with KDB back, City are only going to look better, and that is in part to his wonderful hair. His return also doesn't spell good news for the Clarets, as he's going to be pinging in balls left and right and just causing them a lot of issues. And because of that, I'm going to say 3-0 to City. It should be a fairly comfortable win for Man City. Burnley haven't beat the Citizens since 2015, and I cannot see that changing anytime soon. Since the return of KDB, Man City seem to have stepped up to another gear, and I can see that unbeaten streak starting once again. You know, it always happens at one point in the season where Man City just go on a crazy unbeaten run, and I think we're seeing the start of that now. Even without Haaland, Man City do not seem to screw with scoring goals, and they're going up against the second leaguest defence in the league, so they should have no issues against the Clarets. It's not looking good for Burnley, who are in desperate need of points at this stage in the season, but against teams like Man City, you're not going to get them. Well, you could get them. It'd have to be a very impressive performance to do that, and I don't think Burnley have that in their locker. Sorry, Clarets, but it's Man City. Come on. And then we move to Tottenham versus Brentford. It's a North versus West London clash as Spurs host Brentford in North London. They look to make a swift return to winning ways and get their top 4 challenge back on track. Brentford have not been having a good run of things recently, but after the return of Toney, things do seem to be looking up for the Bees. Or should I say, Ivan Foamy. There's also some good news for Spurs as Maddison featured in their cup loss to City. So while Son is out on international duty, they will benefit greatly from Maddison being back in the squad and hopefully bolstering their attack. It finally looks like Spurs' injury rows are finally clearing up as most of their important players have returned, save for international duty. Brentford have not been as lucky though, still having quite the extensive injury list, as well as quite a few players on international duty as well. And we say 2-1 to Tottenham. Spurs are just coming over the back of a cup loss to City, as well as a draw in the league, which just adds to their fluctuating form. 3 wins and a draw from their last 5 league matches. It's not the greatest form, but they're still in the title race, or the top 4 challenge. I can't see Spurs winning the title, but hey, they're challenging for top 4, and they've got a pretty good showing of themselves, to be honest. Brentford, they've been experiencing different fortunes to Spurs, with 1 win from their last 5, so it's not really been great for the Bees, and performances have reflected that. Spurs haven't been performing at the best without Son, but Maddison coming back will definitely give them some more attacking threat, and will cause Brentford a lot of issues at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I can't see it being an easy game for either side, but I do see Spurs keeping the 3 points in North London. However, with Ivan Toney back and gunning for a move for Arsenal, it seems, he's probably going to want to put a couple past the Lily Whites, but I don't know if he can. I don't think he will, but you never know. All I know is he doesn't want to be at Brentford, let's be real. And then we move on to Liverpool versus Chelsea. Liverpool host Chelsea at Anfield in their first league match since Klopp has announced his coming retirement at the end of the season. What a shock that was. Liverpool currently find themselves 5 points clear at the top of the league. Chelsea find themselves in 9th place in a good vein of form at the moment, winning 4 of their last 5 league matches. And this match also serves as a preview to the EFL Cup final, which both Liverpool and Chelsea are taking part in. You know, they both cruised to the final last week. Liverpool also experienced some good form themselves, winning 3 and drawing 2 of their last 5 matches, as well as progressing through to the next round of the FA Cup as well. So, you know, things are looking up for both teams. You know, it's 2 teams in good form coming together here. Should make for a good match, but I'm going to say 3-1 to Liverpool. I can see Liverpool keeping all 3 points on Merseyside and keeping up their title push. It would honestly be poetic if this was the season that Klopp won the Premier League with Liverpool. Well, his second Premier League with Liverpool. You know, his final season at the club. They'll win some trophies. It'll be the perfect send-off. And I think they're very well positioned to do that, to be honest. Whilst Chelsea have come into some good form recently, I don't think they have it in them to stop this Liverpool side, especially Anfield. Liverpool will be without Salah, but they have shown that despite his absence, they can play some good football and score some goals as well. Both teams are suffering from a lot of injuries at the moment, so it's very unlikely that we'll see either team fielding a full-strength 11, but Liverpool have more quality available to them, so should be able to see off Chelsea. The Klopp title charge is on, and I can't see Chelsea stopping them, but then again, we thought that when Chelsea was Man City, and look what happened. So we've seen bigger shocks this season, but I just think, you know, riding on the energy of Klopp's final season, Liverpool should have this. I think even without that, they should have this, to be honest, but you never know. And then we move on to the Thursday fixtures and West Ham United versus Bournemouth. West Ham host Bournemouth in their capital as both sides look to make a return to winning ways. West Ham are coming with the back of a draw in the league as they shed the points in Sheffield, which was very shocking to say the least. Whereas the Cherries are coming with the back of a win in the FA Cup, but also to a loss in the league. Both teams have been experiencing some similar form, but West Ham have been doing much better than their opponents, winning 3 and drawing 2 in comparison to Bournemouth winning 3 of their last 5. The Hammers have been having a good season so far, despite the slow start they got off to. They're maintaining another top 6 push and are just generally playing quite well. I remember talking about early in the season if it was Moyes' time to go. It never was, and you know, they kept hold of him once again, and it's paid dividends because look at them. They're flying. They've also just signed Calvin Phillips on loan too, which is a brilliant capture for West Ham. I know Newcastle were gunning for him, but they just couldn't quite afford it. So, brilliant signing for West Ham. He's only going to do bits for them. But why did they give him the number 11? Like, honestly, right, the number 11 should only be reserved for an attacking player. Speaking of number 11, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I can see the points being shared in the capital. Bournemouth have been playing some good football, but so have the Hammers. Both teams are missing players, whether that's through injury or international duty, with West Ham also having 2 players out through suspension. Both teams are looking pretty evenly matched at the moment, and I can't see one side having anything out over the other. They're both pretty, if you put it on paper, both look evenly matched. Now, I know football isn't one on paper, but there's not really much to separate either side, to be honest. Bournemouth look to have found an effective way of playing that has worked well for them, so it'll be very interesting to see how these sides clash. I see the points being shared in East London. Bournemouth have had a slight dip very recently. It's not a massive dip, but results haven't really gone their way. Whereas West Ham, it's fluctuating for the Hammers, but they are better placed to win this match. But I just think the points will be shared, you know. It's just the vibe I'm getting. And finally, we move to Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Manchester United. Wolves host Manchester United at the Molineux, with both teams who can get 3 points on the board once again. The Wolves are coming off the back of a win in the Black Country Derby, as they beat rivals West Brom in the FA Cup, as well as drew in the league. Manchester United are also coming off the back of a win in the FA Cup, as they saw off League 2 side Newport County. They conceded twice to the Welsh side. Antony also scored. This game had it all. Wolves are currently experiencing a better run of form than their opponents, with the West Midlands side grabbing 3 wins and a draw from the last 5, whilst Manchester United have only grabbed 1 win and 2 draws from their last 5. A run which has seen United fall to 8th place, while Wolves find themselves in 11th, just 3 points off their opponents. So it's a pretty tight clash, to be honest. And I'm going to say 1-0 to Wolves. I can see Wolves claiming all 3 points here. This is a Wolves side that is missing some important players, with Hwang Hee-chan being their biggest loss. The Korean is currently their top scorer, and his absence has shown in some recent results, but they're still managing to score goals, so that shouldn't be too big of an issue. United are also missing some key players, but honestly, their team is probably better without them. Let's be real. Man United aren't really a good side at the moment, as we've seen them struggling against sides that they really should be beating. I can just see Wolves being United while they're on this inconsistent run of form, you know. It's the perfect time to play them. It'll be a tough match for either side, but at the Molineux, I see Wolves grabbing all 3 points and continuing their brilliant run of form. But yeah, those have been my Game Week 22 Premier League predictions. If you have any of your own, please leave them in the comments down below. And comment why Chris Wood is the best striker currently in the Premier League. Yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.